This video is brought to you by Hit Point Press and their Big Bad Booklet series, and by Steamforged Games and their Epic Encounter series. Hello and welcome back to The Gallant Goblin. Today I'm so happy to share this with you, the Pathfinder Beginner Box. A year or so ago, we reviewed the Starfinder Beginner Box in a video you can watch by clicking that eye in the corner of your screen. It was a great introduction to the Starfinder universe and rule set, and just to role-playing games in general. This set does the same thing for Pathfinder. You get 2 guidebooks, one for the players and one for the game master. You get pawns, you get a double-sided dungeon map, you get 4 pre-generated characters, extra character sheets, player reference guides, and you even get a set of dice. Really, everything you need to run the included adventure. But there are a couple of key differences between this set and the Starfinder Beginner Box. So we'll talk about all that, but first we need to actually use this box to introduce Pathfinder to some new players. So I've got to find some players. Yay! Oh. Have y'all been here the whole time? Before we get to the game, let's see what comes in the box. First, you get a whole set of pawns, more than 100. You get pawns for every character and creature that you'll encounter in the included adventure, but you'll also get a lot more. The first sheet has your 4 iconics, plus 24 other minis suitable for use as player characters. The next sheet has a whole bunch of common monsters like kobolds and ghouls and drow, plus several action and reaction tokens that you can use to track your actions during your turn. Next, we have more monsters, including goblins, an owlbear, doppelganger, and a green dragon wormling. And finally, we have even more monsters like orcs and skeletons and spiders and zombies. To use the pawns, whose art is the same on the front and the back in case you were wondering, they include 14 pawn bases, including a large one. There are 4 pre-generated characters to use with fantastic annotated character sheets. You get the Pathfinder iconic wizard, rogue, cleric, and fighter. Inside the little booklet is the character sheet and a page explaining the character sheet. And on the back, you have the character's story. Well, a shortened version of their story. You can get the whole story on the Paizo blog or on their wiki. If you do want to roll up your own character, the box includes 6 blank character sheets as well. You can see the front of the sheet on the left and the back on the right here. The included book will also show you how to roll up a rogue, cleric, fighter, or wizard. There's also a double-sided flip map that is 30 by 24 inches. This is to use with the included adventure, which explains exactly what's in every room. It's a really beautiful map, and like all the Paizo flip maps, you can write on it with a dry or wet erase marker. If you want a map to use to write your own dungeon crawling adventure around, this one is great. You've got spider caves, old tombs, storage rooms, shrines, and just all sorts of interesting little details. Pro tip though, lay a few heavy core rulebooks on it for a little while to flatten it out first, and then you'll be golden. You also get a colorful set of 6 dice that you can see here. The D4 is slightly different than I'm used to, with the correct digit showing up on the bottom of the die. I'm more accustomed to the top red D4s, so it takes a moment to fix your brain around that. Next, you have 6 double-sided player reference cards going over the conditions on one side and the basic actions on the other. There's a README doc to help you get started, an inventory list so you can see exactly what everything is, a little 1-page guide to let you know what to buy next if you like the system, recommending the core rulebook, the advanced player's guide, the bestiary, and the game mastery guide. It also recommends the short adventure Troubles in Otari, which will continue the story included in the beginner box up to level 4 with 3 different adventures. There's also a little card to get you started with Syrinscape, which is a soundboard that you can use for music and sound effects in your games. They have a sound set made specifically for the included adventure, Menace Under Otari. If you already have a Fantasy or Paizo or everything Syrinscape subscription, it'll be included in that. You can also sign up for a free 30-day trial of the Pathfinder subscription to try it out for yourself, or if you want to purchase it separately, it'll cost you $10. These days, I can't play D&D or Pathfinder without Syrinscape. I am totally hooked. And the beginner box sound set was fantastic. There's even a narration from Jason Bowman. Finally, and most importantly, we have our 2 guidebooks. The 72-page Hero's Handbook teaches you how to play the included 4 classes, Rogue, Fighter, Wizard, and Cleric, up to level 3. It also gives you the basic rules for the game. And the 88-page Game Master's Guide includes the Menace Under Otari adventure that goes up to level 2 and lasts about 6 hours. It also teaches you how to game master, how to run campaigns, how to make your own encounters, traps, and stories. It's pretty robust without being overwhelming. You also get a setting guide for the town of Otari with landmarks, important NPCs, and story hooks if you want to continue the story on your own. The biggest difference between the Pathfinder Beginner Box and the Starfinder Beginner Box is that the Pathfinder Box teaches you the full, real Pathfinder rules. The Starfinder Box used a simplified version of the rules and abilities, which could make the transition to full Starfinder a little bit more difficult. With this box, you have a really smooth transition. You can go directly from the beginner box to that follow-up book, Troubles in Otari, and then you jump from that to the short adventure path here, Abomination Vaults, which also takes place near Otari. And by the time you're done with all this, which is a 3-book series, you should be good to go with whatever Pathfinder content you want to play. The only thing I can find to criticize in the whole set is that we found a couple of little typos. For example, on Kyra the Cleric's character sheet under Divine Font, it says she can prepare 2 extra first-level heal spells in addition to her other spells, when it should be 3, which is 1 plus her charisma modifier. So note that on your sheet if you are playing the beginner box. That was the only little error that I caught that actually affected the game. Now, we spent the entire afternoon playing through the adventure, and we just had a blast. Everything went smoothly. Some folks had read the rules thoroughly and others was just learning as we went along. They're all D&D players, so they weren't learning TTRPGs from scratch. We made use of the pawns and the map and the pre-gen characters and the Syrinscape sound set. And after we finished up, I brought everyone back to the table to talk about our experience. So let's take a look at that. Okay, we just finished spending the entire day playing the beginner box module, which is called The Menace Under Otari. And I want to introduce my players to start with. Crystal, you want to tell us who you are?
Sure. I'm Crystal Usher.
And what do you do? Or what is your experience with Pathfinder or D&D?
So today was the first time I played Pathfinder. I played D&D before, but this was definitely the first time I've kind of experienced the joys of Pathfinder.
Excellent. Thomas?
Hi, I'm Thomas McMillan. I play D&D a lot in my free time. I'm a DM for most of them, about half the campaigns I play through. So Pathfinder was a brand new experience for me. I had never played before. Did a little bit of a deep dive on the rules right before we jumped in, but other than that, literally no experience playing it, and yeah.
But you already have your character ready for the next adventure, right?
I'm kind of thinking about it. Thinking about an alchemist, maybe.
An alchemist, a flesh warp?
Flesh warp alchemist, yeah.
That's gonna be good.
A little bit of a mutate experiment thing.
I think it's gonna be good for the next adventure we plan to run, which some of you at home may know what it is. Nestor, we may know you from somewhere.
Yes, I participate in the Gilding Light, and this is actually my first time as well playing Pathfinder. Mm-hmm. And for D&D, I have been playing for about 8 years. Thomas, I've been playing on most of Thomas's campaigns. But it has been really fun playing Pathfinder, and
And when you talk about participating in Gilding Light, you are on my show on Gilding Light.
Yes.
A Song for the Shadows, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, over at twitch.tv/Gilding Light. Setting Phoenix's show, where we are all hyping up the Bard book. But thank you for playing on that. And your debut hasn't happened yet as we're filming this.
Right.
But it is Monday.
And I am very excited and nervous, but mostly excited.
I'm
going to be really good.
I'm really looking forward to getting you on. We're going to have so much fun. And finally, we have one more interesting folk down there.
Hello, hi, I'm Waffalo. I'm an artist. I'm based in Houston. I play D&D. I played it for maybe about 5 years. I don't know. Time is an illusion. I do D&D art. I play with Thomas and Ness usually. It's my first time playing Pathfinder. I learned the rules 2 minutes before I got here, and it was really easy. Pretty simple.
Waffle, tell us a little bit about your art, though. Where do you do art? What kind of art do you do?
I do acrylic work. I do gouache work, stuff where it's more all traditional. I enjoy doing scary stuff. My parents don't like it, but it's whatever. As long as I enjoy it, it's cool.
Where can they find your art if they want to check it out?
They can find my art on Instagram. I'm Waffalo there. I'm Waffalo on Twitter and stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I do a lot of trash tweets, retweets. So
that's
yeah,
fair.
you can find me on there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So this was everybody's first Pathfinder experience, right?
Yeah.
And I know, Thomas, you sent me a message yesterday. You started a Google sheet about the differences between D&D and Pathfinder,
Oh, yeah.
so folks could kind of get a sense of that. How different was the experience from a D&D game?
You know, I was able to summarize the differences that I encountered in 2 pages. So not drastically different, but it does allow a lot more customization, I found. And I did a little bit of perusing. I was very interested after reading the rulebook. So I did a little bit of perusing in the races and the ancestries and the classes. And I must say, I was really impressed with how much customization goes with every level, with every race. So aside from that level of customization, it was fairly easy to pick up because it was very similar to D&D.
Yeah, it's the same backbone, right? But
Yeah.
just a few differences. Crystal, I think the difference that most people will find when they sit down to play Pathfinder is the 3-action economy. Everybody gets those 3 actions. So if you want to level 1 character right out the gate, you want to attack 3 times, you can attack 3 times. How did you find the 3-action economy? Did you like that?
I liked it. I think sometimes it's a little bit confusing in D&D, like what you can do and what you can't do, especially early on when you're still kind of learning the rules. There's reasons for that, but I think for like new beginners coming into Pathfinder, it makes it easy. You've got a set list of things that you can do, and so as long as you kind of understand what your abilities are, it's pretty easy to get used to.
Yeah, I think when playing D&D, I know y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but people are like, you got actions, you got bonus actions, you got there's a lot of different kinds of actions. And it
Yeah.
can be a little confusing. So this one's just like, everything's an action. Most things are just an action. You want to take something out of your bag, that's an action. You want to swing your sword, that's an action. You want to leap across the cavern, that's an action. Spells, now you were a spellcaster.
Oh, yeah.
And so how did you find spellcasting using the action economy?
It actually made it easier for me because spells are normally 2 actions, so all I had to do was move and cast a spell, and I was done for the turn. So I had Easy Street playing old Ezrin the Spice Merchant, so, you know.
And now you also were a spellcaster, or healer as a
Yes,
cleric. You're playing
yes.
Kyra. And I think one thing you realized partway through the adventure is that you can customize your spells based on how many actions you spend.
Right, especially healing.
Yeah.
It was really good. So one of the really awesome things about healing in Pathfinder was that you can increase the healing amount that you want to output to your players depending on how many actions you want to spend on it. So 3 actions, for example, if you want to use all 3 actions healing somebody, it's gonna like output like
I think it was heal the whole party,
3d8,
wasn't it?
something like, yeah. And then you can like create an AoE of healing, or you can spend 2 actions and then you're gonna heal 1 single person for like a lot more.
Yeah.
The versatility of healing, it was really awesome for a cleric, which is a class that I play in different role-playing games, and for this one it was very good. It was very versatile. I like that.
Very cool. Waffle, how did you find just the way that the beginner box brought you into the system? Was it too much? Was it overwhelming at first? What did you think?
Well, I saw the inside of it. I was, wow, there's a lot of coins. Wow, there's a lot of like little figures.
Well, the coins were mine.
Yeah,
I will say the coins were my
Oh.
addition.
Oh my goodness. Surprise. But no.
Everything else was the system, though. The pawns and everything else, but the coins were mine.
Yeah, it all seemed really simplistic enough to where like I didn't feel overwhelmed by it. It helps to have a good DM, so that was really cool too. Like you went through all of it, like all the guidelines and whatnot. The rules were all set in place, so it wasn't like really difficult to be like, oh man, what does this do? And if it was, it's like a very simple thing you find like in the rule book, which is also very simple in itself, right?
Yeah.
Because like in 5e, it's like, oh man, I have to find like this thing, and this thing has to go towards this thing, and like learn this condition and all that. Yeah, this one was like maybe like what 20 pages in the rule book about. Not that bad at all. Yeah.
What did y'all think of the story that it was telling? I mean, it's a fairly simple beginner story. You go into the basement and fight rats, right? That's how a lot of RPG adventures begin. And a little carried on beyond that. But what did y'all think in general of this little story?
I thought it was really, it was really exciting. So like you said, that's a very normal story. I think all of us have played D&D quite a bit, and I still, I thought that the story was very intriguing, very interesting. There were a lot of different hooks for players to kind of follow. So overall, I thought the story was great.
Anybody else have anything that thought about it?
I was
Yeah.
riveted.
Yeah.
You
I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? I thought it was just rats, but it's not rats. Like, I know that, like, that's like the main plot point and stuff, but then I'm always constantly surprised by life in general, you know. So it was pretty cool.
always
Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Thomas?
Oh yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the plot. It was a great plot, very interesting how it all tied together. I don't want to give too many spoilers in case someone's playing it, but there's also a lot of extra just tie-in to, like, I was like, ooh, I want to explore that more, and as you point out, there's more to explore after this box,
Yeah.
and several tie-in points, and I was like, ooh, this is also intriguing. We got to wrap up this first story before we kind of explore into the second one, so it was really exciting.
Yeah, I think there's an entire adventure that takes place after this one. If you care to take your characters you've already created and continue to explore the town of Otari and what's going on around it, you can certainly do so. But there's other starter adventures that you can jump into too if you want to have a fresh start with new characters. Did you find anything surprising about the system that maybe you weren't expecting going into it? Anything about the box or experience in general that surprised you?
Ooh, I did, but mostly about the mechanics of getting a natural one. Whenever in D&D you get a natural one, like something bad is going to happen. I don't think it was very punishing for Pathfinder whenever you got a natural one, because I guess depending on the way that they set up like critical fails, critical success, it was a little bit different on that aspect. But I rolled so many natural ones tonight.
Yeah.
I was feeling like, oh my god, I feel like it should be more punishing, but it was fine. But
And I think like natural ones you generally rolled on attack rolls, and on an attack roll it is not too damaging unless the creature has an ability that they
Right,
can
yes.
use. But like if you were doing skill checks with a natural one, that
Oh,
can
yeah,
be a
that
little
would
bit
be a
different
lot
story when you're
different, yeah.
tumbling down the drain. What did you think though about the system where you can score a critical hit not just by rolling a nat 20, by just getting 10 over the AC or the DC? And I know that came up a couple of times against you guys as well. Like, how do you like that system of critical fails and critical successes tied to your rolls more than just like the chance of the die?
I thought it made it kind of interesting. So when you get a nat 20 in D&D, I mean your damage is doubled usually for attacks and stuff. But there's a lot of times where there are different creatures that you hit super hard, and even though you didn't get a nat 20, nothing else happens. So I think it adds a bit more flavor to especially to combat in particular, but even some of the skill checks that we went through, I thought it was kind of interesting, like what additional information you could find out if you got above a certain level.
Yeah, you intimidated a certain little creature in here, and Valeros at the very end there had a very good intimidation check, and you got a lot of information out of that little critter.
It was way more than I thought it'd be. I thought it would just be like, oh, I give up and I'll help you out a little bit, but he vomited everything, and I appreciate that.
For a critical success,
yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of an interesting thing. Like, if you are particularly good at a skill, you have a much better chance of rolling a crit success. Maybe it's just for you, like on a roll of 14 or higher. Or for anybody else, like rolling that particular skill, it wouldn't be. So it kind of, I think, makes you feel like even more specialized, and you can do even more. Was there anything else in the system that surprised you, that delighted you, that bothered you?
For me, the secret rolls was pretty
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
intriguing.
Oh,
That's a good one, too.
A lot of times in D&D, you have a player that's rolling for a particular skill check, and then based on what that person gets, the DM has to figure out what they can or can't give that person. And so I think it takes a lot of that metagaming away from the situation. So I don't know, it might be something that I start employing while I'm DMing for D&D.
I really like the secret rolls on my side of the table anyway. What did you think of them?
I love the secret rolls. I enjoyed not knowing if we were able to suss out whether there was a trap coming or not whenever we were working together to kind of disarm some traps. So
Yeah, because you're like, nope, you don't see any traps. And if you were on the table and you rolled a 2 and you didn't see some traps, that means something different than if you rolled a 20 and didn't see some traps.
yeah, because
in normal
like you
game.
got that dread hanging over. It's like, oh, I rolled bad. There probably is a trap, and the DM's just forced to say, you don't see something.
So here the suspense is always there because you never really know. If you're rolling like to see if somebody's lying to you, you know what your character knows. You don't know more than your character knows. So yeah, it takes that metagaming out. What did y'all think of the secret rolls?
My hands were sweaty the entire time. I was like, what is going to happen? Is he lying to us? I can't tell. Oh. But otherwise, I liked it a lot. Yeah.
I think
anticipation was cool.
I think the only concerning thing that I will see, and this is weird coming from me because out of this table, I'm the only one that hasn't ever DM'd. But I think that wouldn't that put a lot of more emphasis on like whatever the DM has to do, because I know whenever you're DMing you have like a lot of moving parts going on, and then like on top of that you have to like control what well, not control, but like also be very aware of what you're rolling, and you're rolling for the players. Like I'm not sure if that's too much for the DM to handle at the same time as like going on with the campaign, but I guess that's a question for you.
Yeah, no, for me, before we started, I had you all fill out a sheet with all of the roles, your modifiers that I needed to know for the secret roles. And then just when you did an action that called for a check like that, I was like, okay, well, I'll just do it for you and just give you the result. And so it really wasn't any extra work for me because I had the little sheet handy, and it wasn't too much just to roll a d20 and add that up. You know, once you get to the point when you're all level 13 and we're adding like 27 to your perception checks, and, you know, it becomes a bit of a math hurdle, you know, that could be a little bit more. But in general, I don't think it was an extra work for me. Now, the question is, do you feel somehow robbed that because I have fun just rolling the dice, so you're going to roll less dice using the secret rolls. Is that a problem or is that okay?
So for me, I felt like I rolled a lot during this whole adventure, and so not having to do those extra checks, to me it wasn't an issue, but I could see where if you're not rolling a lot during a game where that might become an issue.
Yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, like, I felt like I was rolling just as much as I normally do in a normal game. I was just rolling more on different things, because there's a lot more skills in Pathfinder that aren't necessarily in D&D.
Yeah.
So it's like, for instance, crafting, which was something that in D&D you're like, oh, I have this tool proficiency, so I just crafted on up.
Yeah.
But no, I had fun with that. So
that's very cool. Now, you all have DM before. Not so much, Nestor. Do you feel like you could take this box and run Pathfinder with your particular groups?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I would agree. DMing can be, you know, quite stressful because there's a lot that you feel like you have to know. But I felt like just coming in with like the basic quick view of rules that I read, I could have ran the box. I still probably would have been a little bit nervous about doing it, but if I felt like everything was there, and yeah, I think I could run it. I would assume the people I've DM'd with before could run it as well.
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Do you feel like you could have?
Not at this point, but I found it very easy to adapt coming from like a D&D background. It was not. Yes, there were like specific differences, but at the core, I feel like they are very similar.
Yeah.
So it was not that bad to adapt to that.
Yeah.
So.
The only thing that we were lacking in this particular game was brand new players who had never played a role-playing game before. When we reviewed the Starfinder Beginner Box like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we actually were able to grab some players who had never done anything before and introduce them to one of the more complex games out there. But the Starfinder Box had more simplified rules for that system. So next time maybe we can try something like that. Do y'all have any final thoughts on this box? Anything that you thought they could improve on? Anything that we haven't talked about yet that you wanted to mention? Waffalo, we'll start with you.
I think if you want to play D&D, if it's kind of like your gateway, this is the thing to get into. It's really easy. It's easier than 5e. I heard 4e is a mess, maybe. Who knows? But this was really fun to do. I recommend entirely. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was my favorite thing about this box is that my character sheet had pretty much everything that I needed. I didn't I don't know if it was out of not having time or not wanting to do it, but I didn't read like the core rules, but like I only make sure that I focus on my character. I knew everything that my character had to offer, and like I focus on my character's background too. So I feel like everything that it was just in 4 pages, everything that I needed to know, and the rules were basically very similar to D&D. So that's my favorite thing about this guy.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't need that extra knowledge. You were able to jump into play just fine.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah,
very cool.
That's it.
Thomas.
Chiming in on what Ness said, the character sheet had everything you needed, and it not only did it have the stats and the abilities and the spells lined out, but it also had the explanation of how to use those stats and how to use those spells. And so I really appreciated that being on the character sheet, because there were a couple times where I was like, what exactly do we need to do with this again? Oh, it's right there. Okay, found it. So, yeah, it totally makes it way easier to pick this game up than 5e, where you just have the character sheet and you're like, I don't remember what all this means.
Yeah.
So
it's sort of an annotated character sheet that gives you a little bit more information.
Yeah, for sure.
Crystal?
So I think for me, I do think like D&D has some beginner boxes out there. I've never played them. When I started playing D&D, I was just playing with other people that had played before, and so some of that learning curve was taken away. Part of the reason I had never played Pathfinder before is because I didn't have other people around me that had played Pathfinder, and I think if I had this as an option earlier, I would have played it. And I think especially for people that don't do maybe a lot of RPG or maybe don't understand D&D or whatever, I think that's a really good introduction, because I think part of the trouble we had rules-wise was because we were kind of comparing that to D&D. And so if you're coming in with a clean background and you don't know that this rule matches up with this rule and how you play in a different system, I actually think the box is really geared toward people that don't have an RPG background. But even if you do, if it's something that you're looking to kind of explore, I think it's a great option without having to like deep dive into Pathfinder.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus Pathfinder First Edition versus Pathfinder Second Edition is a whole another conversation too. But thank you all for joining me for this. I really had a lot of fun today playing.
Yeah.
Y'all only got me partially drunk during the whole thing, so thank you very much. Why don't we close off here by saying where we can find you if you want to learn more about you. Waffalo, you must start on your end. Where can people find you?
Y'all can find me on Patreon, Instagram, Twitter. DeviantArt's dead, I guess, maybe.
Is it?
Maybe. Not DeviantArt. Those three things. I have a link tree. Just type in Waffalo. That's WAFALO. Yeah. Look for me there.
You have amazing art. We just spent, like, when you first got here, we just spent like 15, 20 minutes just flipping through your art book. It's amazing stuff.
Thank you.
So, yeah, go check out his art. Are your commissions open?
They're always open, yes.
Commissions open.
Yeah.
Don't steal them. We might do some. Where can they find you?
Right. So I'm not as versatile in social media, but I share an account with Thomas on Twitter and also Instagram. In Instagram, we are Rainbows and Dragons. And in Twitter, we are r_and_dragons. And I will be, joining all the games for the Gilding Light. So
We're not on every Gilding Light show, but you are on my show on Gilding Light.
Exactly.
A Song for the Shadows.
Yes, a Song for the Shadows.
Twitch.tv/Gilding Light, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, Monday nights.
Yes. So I'll be there, and that's where you can find me.
Yes, exciting. Thomas, you share the same accounts?
Same account, just emphasizing it's Rainbows in Dragons on Instagram, spelled Rainbows_N_Dragons, much like the Twitter that he just called out. But other than that, we share it. It's a joint account.
Excellent.
So, I mean, we don't have different ones to go to. Sorry.
Crystal, do you have a place that people can find you if they want to?
You can find me on Twitter at 12crusher12. I'm probably the least active of all of these people, but if you want to reach out, that's where I am.
Perfect. And I will let everybody go, and then we'll come back and wrap things up. The Pathfinder Beginner Box is available now for an MSRP of $39.99 or less if you shop around. It's just a fantastic introduction to the system and the setting, and it's nice to get a bunch of accessories that you can use beyond the included adventure. The reference books are well organized, they're very readable, and they're really full of interesting and helpful content. If you've been watching my Pathfinder content over the past few years, but you didn't really know how to introduce your gaming group to Pathfinder, this is how you do it. I think it's also an easy way to bring new people into the hobby. If you have any questions about it, please leave them for me in the comment section below. We want to thank our sponsors for this video. First, Steamforged Games and their Epic Encounter series. If you're looking for an adventure in a box like the Pathfinder Beginner Box here, but for D&D, the Epic Encounters line is for you. Each box gives you everything you need to run an amazing, fun, and cinematic adventure with your gaming group. You get maps, tokens, an adventure booklet, and you get some amazing amazing unpainted minis that you can use again and again. One of the coolest boxes is the Lair of the Red Dragon, which includes this awesome, huge red dragon mini standing atop her hoard of treasure. And the included booklet teaches you how to run a unique, challenging, and engaging red dragon encounter. The next two boxes are on their way to us right now, Chambers of the Serpent Folk and Temple of the Snake God. So tune in soon to get a review of those. Check out the Epic Encounter series over at steamforged.com. And we also want to thank our longtime sponsor, Hit Point Press, and their Big Bad Booklet series, a monthly zine about boss monsters for 5th edition. Each month you get a physical or digital booklet that gives you everything you need to run a short adventure with your gaming group using those 5E rules that I bet you already know. This month, come meet Exaxia, an arachnid thorn witch with a hypnotizing scent used to lure in her prey. Can you escape Exaxia's 8-legged clutches, or will you find yourself in a thorny situation? Subscribe today at bigbads.com. And thank you for watching today. You can see Nestor and me each Monday night this spring over on Gilding Light's Twitch channel for our live play game, A Song for the Shadows, celebrating the launch of Siren's Battle of the Bards on Kickstarter. And speaking of that, here's Satine Phoenix with a little message for you.
Hey, little goblins, I have something really exciting to tell you about. We have an amazing Kickstarter, thebardbook.com. That Siren's Battle of the Bards Kickstarter is live right now. So go check that out. Click the I'm going to buy this right now button and get all our really cool stuff. If you like bards, you got a friend that's a bard and you're not even a bard, but you're like, I want to be in a band. You too can be in a band and or be a bard by checking out this book. So go to thebardbook.com right now. Right now. Push the button right here.
Thank you, Satine, and I think you'll be seeing some of our other folks from the video here today and some of our future projects as well. They're just an amazing group of people that I can't wait for you to get to know, and I can't wait for them to meet you as well. You can join me over on twitch.tv/thegallantgoblin on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's my tentative schedule anyway for the moment. Currently, I'm playing through a campaign of This War of Mine. Let me know what other games you'd like to see me play. Come and hang out. We're just having a great time. I'd love to see you there. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you are interested in our mascot mini, we have just a few left for sale on our web store at gallantgoblin.com/shop. We only have a couple left, like I said, so if you want one, you better hop to it. And that's it. I hope you're doing well out there. For now, stay safe, have fun, love each other, and I'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.